home, as he says that this would really help in managing the situation. So, what's your take on this? Again, this is the Spotlight on Super 92.7 FM. The number to call 0705 6900 On WhatsApp as well, it's 0705 6900
Well, I mean, it's still 18 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. You're one family, one radio station, Super 92.7. And we're having this conversation about the closure of the Independence Bridge alongside the Minister of Works, David Umar, coming out to say that he wasn't in the know of the closure of that bridge, and then decided to say that it was solely the error of the controller right here in Lagos in the person of Kesha, Mrs. Kesha. And we're asking questions. What is the communication process in giving verdict or decision making in the ministry? If he says he didn't know that, then I mean, we need to ask these questions on the go.
Okay, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we will be talking to someone as well. And of course, don't forget that you can be a part of the conversation. The number to call is 0705 69000927. That's 0705 69000927. It is Super FM. We'll be right back.
From the greens of golf, a salute for Tiger Woods, the courts of basketball and tennis, LeBron James down the track, look out! The octagons of the UFC to the square ropes of boxing.
It's over! Russellmore waves it off. He's not counting.
All boxes checked. Join Osinachi, the Register, and the man the McCall, the official radio man on Sports 927 on Super 92.7 FM.
So I was asking, is it
Yes, I'm
possible?
hearing you.
Is it possible for the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, in person of Olukorede Kesha, is it possible for her to have done this without the Permanent Secretary's information and without the Minister of Works heads up? Also, because they had talked about the closure initially on the 19th of March, 2025.
Yes, I think this is just an excuse by the minister, if I may say. It's just an excuse. They are not being truthful and honest about what is going on. I think the minister is just looking for what is called a fall guy. You know, somebody to
take
blame
the fall.
for what has happened. It's impossible for this kind of thing to have directive or instruction, or there's no agreement on a particular project to be done on that axis. Okay, it's not possible for just the director unilaterally act, and if the director is unilaterally acting, then it then shows how incompetent is most of these our government officials. It shows how incompetent and indifferent some of them are, to the pains of Nigerians. And I think it's a principal conduct that should not be condoned. Officially, some of this kind of thing will have been discussed, in an executive meeting, the ministry. And the PAMSEC will have been aware of any project that is to be done on any of the public highways.
Right.
And it's not something that is just abrupt. It's not. It's not a reactive thing. It's not a spontaneous project, and you can't have a spontaneous project on a public highway that is popularly in high demand, like that road. Okay. So all of these excuses is obvious evidence of dereliction by those who are in charge of the public highways.
Okay,
and the minister is responsible. He should accept responsibility rather than passing the buck to his inferior.
To someone else.
Okay, so of course, we know that there is some sort of blame game in play here, seeing that the minister is pointing fingers and saying that Olukorede Kesha is solely responsible for the error that has been made by the closure of that bridge. But do you think that we need to address the problem and question the communication pattern, not just in the Ministry of Works, but the ministries in total? Because if a minister is coming out and say, I didn't know that this was going to happen, do you think the communication pattern has an issue, and how do we address this problem?
Yeah, we always have this intra communication problems in our government offices, interagency problems, inability to properly communicate among holding public trusts, public office, and all of that, and a lot of indiscretion. You find a lot of indiscretion in directives, and all that. And then sometimes you find that there are for the limits of powers of some of the public officers. Sometimes some of them arrogate functions to themselves out of exuberance. But to me, all of that put together is inability to coordinate the Ministry of Works. It shows obviously that there is a gap in the communication line between the minister, the PAMSEC, and the Director of Public Works, and it shows how the public offices, the Ministry of Works, is being run almost by like a unilateral office, and it's unfortunate that some of these elements are bringing themselves into the public glare in this manner to show how incompetent they are, and it tells you that nobody is actually serious about the plight or the maintenance or the plight of the mass infrastructures. It's not until things like this happen before there is supervision. Obviously, there should be continuous supervision. There should be a line of order, in all our ministries, not just this Ministry of Works. Okay. But you find this dissonance,
sometimes you find that there's a discontinuity of policy. Sometimes you find that some of the policies are not properly coordinated, and proper schedules are not put in place even before projects are conducted. Sometimes the work programs are not clear to those who are to even execute it, and all of that. And it shows the obvious incompetence of some of our public office holders.
This takes us into another question, but before then, let's just call out the phone lines if you want to call in or you want to react to the topic on the spotlight right now. 0705 6900927. You're listening to the Spotlight on Super FM. That's 0705 6900927.
All right, let's see who's calling. Hello, good morning. All
When
right,
you
can
get
call
through
us
to
back.
us, yes, turn down the volume of your radio so we can hear you clearly. You can also send us a voice note on WhatsApp portal, which is 0705 6900927. Okay, so Barrister, I want to bring another matter to the fore that is still related to this. Now, upon this, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has ordered the immediate reopening of the Independence Bridge on Victoria Island, on that bridge. Is this a good idea, knowing that it's in such disrepair and the constructions have taken off? Is this a good idea to be having a conversation about immediate reopening without finding out what the issues are at the moment on that bridge? What's your take on that, sir?
Well, to me, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's political showmanship. I'm surprised that the investigated what has happened, and there is no assurance that such a thing will not happen again.
Okay.
All right. I think the property should have been to find that, and that particular road, if I must say, that particular road has been a subject of discourse in recent time. There was this information that there's an attempt to even condone vehicles from following that route because there's an intention to declare it or route, as the case may be. Yes, that the president is interested in taking control of that axis, for some reasons best known to people in government and all of that.
Okay.
So and there is no alternative. Yes, for motorists. That all those angles and axes are usually areas who use to get out of Lekki, BI, and all of those stuff. So it's a very, very important axis to motorists.
Yes.
So one would have expected long notice, proper notice by public office holders, those who want to work on that axis, and then one would have expected a proper work plan or work program.
Exactly.
Okay, it's a kind of schedule and provision of alternative
Absolutely.
routes.
Absolutely. Barrister, we're losing you a little. We're losing.
Solve the problem.
Barrister, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we're losing you a little, so let's just call you right back. Hopefully the network will be much better. If you're just joining us, you are listening to Super 92.7 FM, and this is the Spotlight. We have cast the spotlight on the situation that cannot be ignored, the matter that happened in the last 2 days, because even yesterday, traffic was still at its peak on the island due to the issues of that road that was blocked. So we're going to try to call the barrister right back and have a word or two, but you can have your say as well. Send us a message on WhatsApp. It is 0705 6900927. You can call us as well in the 0705 6900927. Please feel free to leave us a voice note as well. We're back with Barrister. Barrister, can you hear us clearly?
Yes.
Awesome. Much better. Thank you. So this is I want to talk about the sanction. He has clearly stated that she would be getting a sanction. The federal controller in Lagos would be getting a sanction upon this development. Would that be a fair play? Even if he was not informed, because he should be taking responsibility.
It's just to assuage. To me, it's gibberish. As far as I'm concerned, it's gibberish. It should own up and accept responsibility and apologize to Nigerians. Nobody is interested in his sanction. All right?
Okay.
Nobody is interested in his sanction. And it's obvious evidence that he's not in charge. It's obvious evidence that he's not in charge of his ministry.
Well,
It doesn't all go well. Yes.
no, go ahead. I will let you finish that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the point I'm making is that the bulk ends on his table. Okay. And telling us that he's going to sanction the director of works and all of that is not an assurance that they are going to put things in place. If they are going to do a project in that place, they should have a work plan.
Right.
Well,
We should know when that project will start. There should be proper notice to the public. That's what we are saying. The idea that it's going to sanction, to me, it means nothing. It's more like escalating the problem. Okay? And the obvious evidence that he is not handling the matter properly.
Affairs of the work, Mr. Rooks.
There's no how the director of works can just go about a project if there is no government approval on that particular project. You know, and we have always had problem of traffic flow on that axis for a long time. To now block it all completely under the disguise of project without notification, that's what he needs to apologize for.
Okay. All right. With the conversation that we just had with regards to communication and the pattern or chain of communication, questioning that in the ministry, could the problem of communication be attributed to, the parties that the politicians belong to? Because I know that there's PDP, APC, and the likes. Do you think that maybe he's doing this sort of intentionally, or because they don't
Is
belong
this
to
a
the party?
partisan issue?
Is it a partisan issue?
I didn't get you clearly.
Do you
There's a breakup in the
Okay, can you hear us? Okay, can you hear us?
partisan.
Yeah, do you think it's a partisan issue? Do you think that
The lack of
How do you mean
communication.
partisan?
So, do you think that the lack of communication, could there be a problem? Could this problem of communication be attributed to parties? Oh, this political party, or I
To a
mean,
party? No, I doubt it. I
Okay.
doubt it.
That's fair enough.
Obviously, you know, the director of works. Director of works is a career civil servant. Okay, but the minister is a political appointee.
that's right. That's right.
Go to explain away the lack of notification of the public
And
about
palliative
whatever
measures.
intention.
Okay.
To condone that road, and proper alternative ought to have been made for the people, for the movement of
Of people.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So, and a lot of people lost so much within the period this thing was on. There were students who were held shop in that
Oh, yes.
crisis
Yes.
throughout the day.
I was in that traffic, sir.
People, pandemonium, people had to be looking for in that traffic.
Yes.
Some people lost their contact and connections and all that, or business that they had to do
This is
for
true.
that day and all of that. How do you pay for all of that?
This is true.
And
Stand still for the economy.
And I think it's even arrogant of the minister that he's not really apologizing. The minister is not really apologizing. He's just explaining away and trying to pass the fault to someone else.
Well-
There is no how a project can be planned without proper. So that's what we are saying. And he needs to apologize for that, because he has violated the right of Nigerians, the right to free movement.
So,
It's a constitutional right. People have
Barrister,
a right to move through that road.
freely. Barrister,
Nigerians are paying tax, and we expect that whatever we are paying as tax should meet.
okay, so Barrister, also,
Okay, and there should be no such restriction. Yes.
yes, Barrister. This is I agree with everything you have just said. But you're also looking at it on the other side. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, also inspected the site, and he took full responsibility. But by the government, they took full responsibility for the gridlock that was caused during that repair. And as the senator is saying, reopen it immediately. The governor is saying, look, we acknowledge the inconveniences, but these repairs were necessary for the safety and well-being of Nigerians, which makes you wonder. And he goes on to say work must continue, but because this is a critical infrastructure. This bridge is one of the oldest one in the country. You know, so you want to ask, what are we going to do at this point when the Minister of Works is saying reopen and the governor is saying no? This right now, it's a critical infrastructure and it needs to be repaired immediately. What's going to happen from here?
Like I said earlier on, is a total disconnect. Is a total disconnect between governments. Unfortunately, this is the same APC government. That road actually is supposed to be a federal road.
Which makes you wonder how they wouldn't know about
the use of that road. Hello?
Yes, please.
We can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, Barrister. We're losing you a little, but we're trying.
The point I'm making is that that route is a federal road. All right?
Yeah.
But the state have a stake in the use of that road. So if the stake is owning up, it's just face saving. The state government is just face saving. Result of the fact that the federal government belongs to the same party as the state government. Maybe that's why they are owning up on it. Yes, if you have to do a project, nobody says government should not improve the quality or the use of a road. Of course, we expect that some of our roads should be done. Should be better than the way they are. And if government wants to improve the quality of a road, the point is there should be proper planning. There should be government in such a way that the livelihood of the citizens is not hampered. Government inactions and failures or negligence or government incompetence. This kind of project is something that should have been well thought out. Okay, there should have been a program for it and proper, as I said earlier on, proper notification, and then alternative created as an access point for people to use in such a way that it will not hamper traffic flow, because majority of Nigerians and citizens have to do at a particular time. You cannot hold people to ransom because you want to do the road. The alternative is to walk through the night. If you feel that you have to do the road, even then, you still need notification. You still need alternative routes for people to pass. Okay, by creating gridlock, you are bringing the business of that state to a halt, and it affects even the productivity of that state. It affects the income and the revenue of that state. So gridlock have economic consequences, social consequences, and also political consequences.
Even health consequences.
Right? So it's not something. It's not something you with and just try to explain away. So that's the point.
All right, so we have a message from Olamilekan from Lagos, and he says that they're saying prior proper preparation prevents poor performance. Concerning the traffic lockdown in Lagos, it could have been preventable. This similar issue happened last year, where Lagos was flooded and the governor was giving schoolboy excuse. That same rainfall, I exposed the governor this year, and he's still apologizing with the billions daily generated in Lagos through taxes and Agbero collection. What is the use? What is it used for, he says? No water in Lagos, no low-cost house in Lagos, no public toilets. We have high open defecation, etc. This will still happen next year, and he will still apologize. It shows lack of capacity, incompetence, and lack of vision. You can't give what you don't have. Well, he says it's a shame. The worst of us is wow. Okay, thank you very much, Olamilekan. But this also brings another issue. Should we be cutting, Barrister? Should we be cutting slacks to Madam Kesha? Because the rains actually, maybe if it didn't rain that day,
it wouldn't have been that
the traffic could have been sort of managed better. Do you think about this? And should we also be giving very clear blame to her for not creating palliative measures ahead of the closure? What's your take?
Well, all of that should be interdepartmental. It should they are making in the Ministry of Works and between the Lagos State and the federal government. One cannot speculate what is going to happen. Most times when they make so much noise about sanction, at the end of the day, no
Nothing
sanction
happens.
is ultimately
meted.
imposed on anybody. You know, it's just a face safe and an attempt to give some explanation or look for some scapegoat among their inferior and all of that. Government is most times government is never serious about the apologies that they make. You know, and just like the poor performance of government is appalling. From Lagos to Calabar in Lagos here, and we are talking about 15 trillion
Wow.
naira. And one road, the